Good morning. It's 8:05. I'm Anne Marie McAleese, and you are very, very welcome to Your Place and Mine on BBC Radio Ulster and Radio Foyle. And this morning is my last live programme, and I really, genuinely have no idea of what's coming up. But my good friend and colleague Helen Mark, who is extremely good at keeping secrets, is sitting beside me. And so maybe Helen, you could fill me in.
Well, you'll just have to wait and see what happens, Anne-Marie. A very good morning to you. And we've decided that for a change, we want you just to sit back and relax. For we're going to share some of your best bits of a career that has spanned 35 years in broadcasting. Now, everybody knows you've travelled the length and breadth of Northern Ireland, visiting the people and places that make this part of the world unique. Places like Downpatrick's Railway.
And the steam is coming fast and furious. I'm surrounded in a whirl of steam, and I've just been handed a big pair of railway gloves, black and red, and that's to protect my hands whenever I try to get up here. Now, this is pretty steep.
It was steep, but you made it. But things haven't always gone so smoothly.
All right, we've switched places now, and Dotta's got the microphone, which allows me a free hand, and it's outstretched my right hand, straightened out. Oh! Sorry, that happened so quickly. Sorry, wee blue. I scared the life out of that. I'm so sorry, wee man.
After, as the BBC does, no birds were injured in the making of that piece of audio. You have visited countless places, right? But South Armagh is a place where we know the phrase, if you kick any stone, it will tell you a story.
The earliest memory I have is my father standing in a very poor enough establishment in Tullydonald and looking round him and saying to us, "You're a blessed and lucky people, look where you were born." And my mother saying, "Now that'll feed the whole lot of you." But that sense of pride and sense of place is what everyone should be giving their young people.
Yes, and pride and sense of place. So that's what we're planning to do today. Kicking a few stones, talking to a few people, hearing their stories. All that's coming up between now and 9 o'clock. The phone lines are open, 030 30 80 55 55, and you can email the programme on ypam@bbc.co.uk. And of course you can follow us on social media. That's at BBC Radio Ulster. But first this morning, let's head to the North Coast, to your home of Portstewart, to hear from two of your biggest fans, who I reckon have never missed a Saturday morning listening to your dulcet tones.
And being as nosy as she is, enjoys getting all the details from all these people about all these different places. She's always been a great communicator from she was tiny. She just loved talking to people and enjoying them and finding out about this, that and the other. Like I say, she's very nosy. So she is, but she enjoys it and she remembers it all, and she really gets a kick out of it. She really does.
I don't think we've ever missed a programme. And I think, Helen, it all started maybe back in 1974 when she would have been 9 years old. For some reason, we had sent her to elocution lessons and the teacher was a very gifted lady called Miss Watt. And Miss Watt entered her into a verse speaking class at Coreen Music Festival. Of course, Thelma and I were in the audience. Anne came out the winner, and she won for reciting a poem, which I still remember the poem. It was called "The Lonely Scarecrow," and she made such a good job of it that she won the class.
I can remember it well, even though it's a long time ago, and she took it so seriously. But again, she loved it. She enjoyed it. It didn't cost her a thought to get up on the stage and recite her poem,
She has travelled the length and breadth of Northern Ireland. She has been doing that to shine a light on the good that people do and which often goes unnoticed. From that point of view, the programme has been a big success. It's a long time ago now, but it still stands out in my memory. And it involved flying in a glider. And at that time, I think the Ulster Flying Club or Gliding Club, whatever it was, had a base near McGilligan.
At Bellarina. They're still down there.
Bellarina. Oh, that's interesting. My mum was born and brought up in McGilligan, so it's always been a very nostalgic part of the country for us. Anyway, we arrived at Ballerina, and the glider was all ready and waiting, and I was in a bundle of nerves watching it being towed up and taken off, and just Anne and the pilot in it, and relying solely on wind power, So I said, Anne, look, do not forget to mention whenever you're up there and looking down, say the flat, fertile fields of McGilligan. I thought it was a nice bit of alliteration that she did. And she did that.
But there was a little bit of a hiccup on the way that she wasn't so aware of at the time. Quite a wind blowing, as you can imagine there. She was not wearing trousers that particular day, and her skirt blew up. So we all had a great laugh about that.
It's well, it wasn't television, Helen.
She was absolutely mortified, but it was good fun for us. Now, we are very proud of her as a presenter and think of her as one of the best. And as a daughter, she is the very best.
Maurice and Thelma McAleese there.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of love
Helen,
and support.
And thank you, Mum and Dad, as ever and as always. And a happy birthday to Mum. We'll maybe mention you again later. But I remember that day so very, very well. And Dad did come with me to McGilligan and the flat, fertile fields of Benevena. I think that planted the seed of my love of alliteration from that moment.
There you go. So you won't forget the glider. And
never.
Yes. And just to remind you, you must not forget, as you said, it's your mummy's birthday today.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Thelma, from all of us. All of us. Have a lovely, lovely day. Now, Anne Marie, I don't know if those elocution lessons helped, but you became a radio presenter. And in 1991, the first voice of Your Place in Mine.
Good morning. This is Your Place in Mine. If you could, I imagine it would be difficult to maybe describe what it feels like at the start of a race when you're on the grid and you're on the bike and you're just waiting for the flag to go up. But what's going through your head at that stage?
Well, I think the danger element, certainly. You think about that. But it's just very butterfly bellies, very nerve-wracking. My adrenaline would go quite high, and it's just, I would get fidgety and annoyed at little things, Joey's probably the same.
I think like everybody else, you're full of nerves, right enough. Like, actually, I'd be very crabbit sort of type of person just before the race. You couldn't speak to me.
And on reading Houdini's life story, it was actually quite scary because it took him actually 12 years before he actually undertook this particular escape. So,
and how long have you been doing this sort of thing?
Well, about 3-4 weeks.
Now, it's a strange sort of a pet to have from all sorts of points of view, but particularly strange. Oh my goodness, it's moving now. Oh, that's so creepy. Even watching that, it's sort of sidling its way back into sort of a wee, like a cave type thing. I was thinking about this earlier on today, and I thought I would put this to you, that I would sing for you a verse of Happy Birthday if you would sing something of your own choice for us, because I know, this is the first thing, you have a wonderful voice, Jackie. I've heard you perform many times. Okay, is that a deal now? No, you're not allowed to go back at your word.
A singer can't sing at 3 minutes to 9 in the morning? This
talented singer, you can certainly sing. All right, okay, I'm going to go, right? Okay, here's me. Happy birthday to you. Now you're making me nervous, Ron. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jackie. Happy birthday to you. Cue Jackie Fullerton.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. That's all you're getting.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Round of applause.
Hey, that was a rare outing of your singing voice there, Anne Marie. Let's keep it like that. And Pauline, your producer from those early days, she's on the line, Pauline Curry. So, Pauline, good morning.
Good morning.
Anne Marie is sitting here quite aghast. But tell us, how did you first come across Anne Marie? When did you come across your radar, as it were?
Right. So I was a producer on Radio Ulster. This must have been 1990, and Anne Marie was a press officer for the Lyric Theatre. So she used to bring in guests from the Lyric, when they were coming in to be interviewed on various programmes. And that's how I met her, and you're a bit from then. And it was just grew from there on, and particularly there, Pauline, you had to work so closely together, but there was in that selection a broadcast from the Triangle area where Anne Marie met Robert and Joey Dunlop, voices we recognise straight away, and that was just a few weeks before the Northwest 200. That was a special broadcast, wasn't it? Yes, that clip that we heard earlier there was from the 22nd of May 1993, which was a live outside broadcast from the studios in Coleraine, out in the street outside, and it was the weekend of the Northwest 200, and that programme went on. Now, the programme, Your Place in Mine, was only 2 years old at this stage, and that programme went on to win a Sony.
Yeah.
So
yes.
from never having broadcast within 2 years, Anne Marie won a Sony.
Morning, Pauline. How nice to hear. How nice to hear your voice. Honestly, there's a lot of heads will roll post 9 o'clock this morning. But actually, you brought me back to that particular programme because if you remember, you had the idea, I think, of for me to zoom off on the back of a motorbike with Paul Moore outside the Queen Street studio in Coleraine, which is no more. And I think one of the things we forgot was that my headphones, which allowed me to hear what was going on, were still attached to the radio desk. And the driver of the motorbike, Paul Moore, did not realise that. So off he zoomed.
Did anybody? Yes.
And the headphones, I went one way and the headphones went backwards, if I remember. Is that right?
I remember it vividly.
Oh, yeah. The pair of you have a lot of terrific memories. And Pauline, it's just good to hear you. And Anne Marie's sitting here with a very broad smile on her face, thinking back to those early days and how we all survived broadcasting back there.
And thank you so much, Pauline, for everything over the years.
That is lovely. Thanks for those memories, Pauline.
Enjoy your last one.
Thank you, Pauline. Thank you so much.
Right, now to a county that you write postcards to, where you meet strange men in white vans. And you probably remember Farmer Pat Doherty from Enniskillen, who took you to Inishcorkish Island in the middle of Lough Erne, the residence of a crowd of hungry and frisky pigs.
Inishcorkish, here we come. And Pat's just out of the boat now, and he's unloading a couple of the bags of feed that we've brought over with us to keep the pigs happy. And I can hear the pigs in the background. I can't see them, but I can hear them. And Pat has just emptied out. And there's a stampede.
Pat Doherty and his pigs.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember those? The thing is, and you kept the recorder going, I think, the boat that you were on, it drifted away as you were chatting. And Pat had to run and get it. And you were left in the middle of all the pigs.
I was.
You town girl was left in the midst of it.
The boat was drifting back towards Lisnaskee to the jetty there from where we set off. And Pat he had to run anyway up to his Uxters to get the boat back, leaving me with, I think there were 30 pigs that day we counted. And let's say it was a time of the year whenever they were in particularly frisky, good form, and I was surrounded by the beautiful, I can still see them in my mind's eye, beautiful pink and black and stripy pigs with curly tails who were becoming very friendly. So I was very glad to see Pat return with the boat to rescue me from the
classic piece of radio, and the circumstances we as reporters and broadcasters find ourselves in beyond the comfort of the studio. And of course then I mentioned the strange men in white vans. What was that all about? Big Dog Forest?
Big Dog Forest. And very often it was long before the days of sat nav in cars. So, and even now I still don't use it, but I used to rely on directions. And I got miserably lost in another beautiful part of Fermanagh, which was the joy of my life to find all these places that I'd never been to before. But I rang the particular man in advance because I did have mobile phones. So it's maybe 20 odd years ago. And he said, Anne-Marie, keep on going. Now, you'll go through Big Dog Forest, but you'll lose the signal. But don't you worry, I'll be the man in the white van in the lay-by with the back doors open. And I thought,
dodgy.
Nobody knows where I am in Radio Ulster, maybe the days before health and safety. And I just prayed and kept my fingers crossed. And of course, it was absolutely fine.
Always
and he
fine.
was there.
Oh,
Yes.
that's lovely. Great story, good memory. Now, one of your greatest friends in Fermanagh down the years has been a man with a great love of the railways. Now, you met more than 20 years ago when his family created a museum in honour of the Enniskillen Railway in their barber's shop on Darling Street in the town, Selwyn Johnson. And he's suggested over the years many wonderful stories, including putting you in touch with two ladies, Frankie and Rita, who drove for the Women's Auxiliary Air Force in Fermanagh.
What was the uniform like, Frankie?
It was a lovely Air Force blue uniform where we've got the picture in the kitchen.
And how old were you, Rita, at this
18.
stage? 18. What year are we talking about? Was this
42.
I know a lot of women
Yes.
would have been driving at that stage.
Oh, I
weren't
was
they?
driving, you believe it, I can't tell you. I was driving since I was like 4 years old, sat at my father's knee. And he let me steer and let me change the gears. I'm sorry, I loved cars and engines, any kind of an engine.
So who did you drive, or where did you drive?
Well, I picked up beer from Irvinstown to take it to the officers' mess and the sergeant's mess at Castle Archdale. And I also went to Enniskillen to pick up bread at the co-op in Enniskillen. I supplied Castle Archdale with drink and bread.
And if you have one, you'll need the other.
I know, Anne-Marie, that you loved chatting to those two women. That was memorable radio.
That was a particular joy. And as you say, Selwyn Johnson, and all the very best, Selwyn. And thank you so much for all the great stories over the years. We should put him on the payroll, really. But Frankie and Rita were unbelievable just to chat with them.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, funnily enough, Selwyn, you created that opportunity, as we're saying. What did Rita and Frankie think of Anne-Marie coming and the whole thing? Because it was the first time they'd ever done anything like that.
Absolutely. Well, kind of first of all, Anne-Marie, lovely to speak to you, and it's an honour to share a heartfelt and sincere appreciation from all your listeners here in County Fermanagh. And I know our Lakeland County holds a very special place in your heart here, and you're much loved. And you will remember with Frankie and Rita when we visited their home in Lisnaskea, and it was as if royalty had arrived, because they had their hair newly set in style, the makeup on, the medals proudly worn, and the best China tea set out. And any inhibitions about being interviewed immediately faded away when you started to chat with them. And these normally reserved ladies, they chatted and they laughed non-stop with Anne-Marie about their memories serving as WAF drivers, mechanics at RAF Castle Archdale and Killadees. And a lovely immediate connection with Anne-Marie. And I know afterwards Frankie and Rita had shared that they felt at ease with Anne-Marie, her warmth, the humour, the compassion, the kindness, but most importantly that they trusted Anne-Marie with their precious memories, and that was very special.
It was, and I know it was a beautiful piece of radio, and you have so many memories of working with Anne-Marie and places. I don't know if I can even ask what your favourite is, but have a shot at it.
I'm sure Anne-Marie will remember. We travelled. She did a special programme for the anniversary of the closure of railways in 1957, and she travelled around with me all around all the railway stations in Fermanagh, from Belcoo, Florence Court and Enniskillen to Maguire's Bridge, Irvinstown and Bundoran Junction, all in one day, and we were scuttling from one station to another, meeting the former railway employees. And I was greatly touched by how Anne-Marie gave them a voice to share their sense of pride and their dedicated service that they're given, transporting passengers and goods. And now these memories are treasured by their families. And I must admit here, with Anne-Marie, you always feel like it's a conversation with a good friend. And whether you're the interviewer or the listener, it makes every friend feel special, and that's a remarkable gift. And what's lovely is Anne-Marie, she has never forgotten all those she's interviewed on the programme over the years, and she continues to keep in touch, and she's so encouraged and inspired so many people. So it's just lovely. She's a national treasure. And,
that about sums it up. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Selwyn, for sharing some time with us. And Anne-Marie's just speechless.
Could I just point out that we didn't make the programme in 1957, lest anybody think I'm an awful lot older than I am. Thank you, Selwyn. Thank you.
Magic stuff, magic. Now we're going to, as always, through the programme, we have a quick look at the weather. And we've got Cecilia Daly with us to do a wee bit about the weather. Am I right, Cecilia? And maybe something else.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you know, I'm glad, Anne Marie, you kind of clarified that about 1957, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, what? She's not that old. Oh, dear. I'm obviously delighted to be on this morning, given it's your last programme, Anne Marie, and I think you're a brilliant person. I often see you around Port Stewart, as you know, and I hopefully will continue to do so. So
yes.
Is she going to get fair weather this weekend, very briefly, Cecilia?
Very briefly, okay. Well, not too bad today, to be fair. Lots of cloud around, mind you, but it might brighten up briefly, actually, in the northwest in particular. Unfortunately, around Belfast, County Down, there will be bits and pieces of drizzle from time to time. It's not as bitter as it has been, particularly yesterday, so temperatures are a little bit higher. The air is not as cold, 5 to 8 degrees today. Again, lots of cloud on Sunday with a little bit of drizzle here and there, and very similar temperatures. But we are expecting things to turn much milder next week. But unfortunately, it will be wet at times. So if it's back to school or back to work on Monday, be prepared for some wet weather for the morning.
Okay, yeah. All right, there you go. Super
Cecilia,
stuff.
all the very best. Thank you for all our chats as well over the years, and you continued success, Cecilia, in all you do. And yes, let's make a point of having a cup of tea in the port one of these days.
Sounds good. Right, another good company. Another special place now. A place where when you kick any stone, it will reveal a story.
And although I've travelled far, the hills of South Armagh are the hills I'm roaming nightly in my dream.
The earliest memory I have is my father standing in a very poor enough establishment in Tullydonald and looking round him and saying to us, "You're a blessed and lucky people, look where you were born." And my mother saying, "Now that'll feed the whole lot of you." But that sense of pride and sense of place is what everyone should be giving their young people.
And where the grass is fresh and green, where the air is pure and clean, where the gentle rivers kiss the mountain streams. And although I've travelled far, the hills of South Armagh are the hills I'm roaming nightly in my dream.
Colleen Savage with the Hills of South Armagh and local tour guide Una Walsh. And could have been speaking of you, Anne Marie, when she spoke about the importance of instilling pride and sense of place in people. Una's on the line. Morning, Una.
Good morning.
Tell us when you first met up with Anne Marie, where and when. Can you remember?
No, not as far back as 1957. Yeah, Anne Marie has been such a support to South Armagh over the last, I suppose, more than 15 years. And that every time something was coming up, it was just a matter of making contact with Anne Marie, and it was, yes, well, what do you want to do? When are you going to do it? All about, and she has reached every single community across this province and brought it into everyone's home, and that's such a wonderful. It's a wonderful thing for her to sit back now and say she did that, and nobody could have done it the way she done it.
Una, thank you. It's so lovely to hear your voice again. I think I fell in love with South Armagh, with you and all the great people we met from the very first moment. And honestly, you should have been charging me, Una, because one of my favourite expressions, and it was from your lips that I heard it, if you kick a stone around these parts, it'll tell you a story. And I have used that, I don't know, shamelessly many times. So thank you.
It says so much, doesn't it? You did take her up Slieve Gullion. Anne-Marie, you used to always want to have an egg and onion sandwich on those treks. I don't know if you had one then or not. But did you get her up Slieve Gullion?
We did. We had an outside broadcast at the side of Slieve Gullion, and I think that's actually the first day that expression was used, where we talked about South Armagh, and I said Art Bennett had written to Shipboy McAdam in Belfast, his benefactor, when he wasn't giving him enough money, and said, "No, Belfast, kick any stone in South Armagh, and look what you throw up."
That's it. It's marvellous. Isn't it such a wonderful image?
And even for me now to hear Anne Marie use that and use it for every other area, because every area has that potential. Kick the stone, find the story, and she found them. She found them.
You found them and the people.
Una, thank you. Thanks to you good people like you, Una, we found them. And you keep on doing what you're doing, and all the very best to you. And thank you from the bottom of my heart, Una.
And you. And I hope you have a wonderful time at whatever you do next.
That's lovely. Thanks so much, Una. All the very best to you. Now, from Armagh to Tyrone, and another of your favourite people, Sean Harper. And he invited you to Gortin Glen, a place you were determined to get to the top of.
Well, this is quite a steep bit of the glen. You know, as you come up the paths, twist and turn, you do get the feeling that nothing really has changed here in centuries. Sean Harper's footprints are all over this landscape, and we've arranged to meet at one of his favourite places. Well, I made it, but really it takes a minute or two to get your breath back, Sean.
Yes, Anne Marie, it just starts off... it's just a bit steep there. You come out of the car park, and then you walk up a wee trail along the burn, and we come to one of the nicest parts of the Gortin Glens. It's the Gortin Glens waterfall. It'll take you up to the very top of the scenic drive. It's called the Lady's View. I won't make you suffer the walk today, so we'll put you into the car and we'll drive you up to the top, Anne Marie, if that's okay with you.
I will not argue, no.
Sean Harper, helping you out there, Anne Marie.
Oh, it is such a magical, beautiful landscape. And again, a place I didn't know particularly well and have just adored, peeling off the layers that County Tyrone reveals to you, but nowhere more so than Gortin Glen. And just because we're in that neck of the woods, I want to say a special hello to Auntie Mary, who is still alive and well and has listened to this programme for many, many years. So all the very best to you.
That's right. Well, we can't leave County Tyrone without hearing from Carol Dewey of the Hub in Cookstown, a place at the heart of the community. Carol's on the line.
Oh, no.
Carol, Anne-Marie's always been at the heart of all you do there. Hello.
Absolutely. Oh, I hear you. It's been like, it's like as if I'm going to do a talk at the Presbyterian Women's Institute, because they've told me to mind my manners on the radio, because it's our last day, and I had to make a promise that I wouldn't say nothing bad.
What sort of impact has Anne-Marie had, that connection with Anne-Marie and your place of mind?
Well, I'll tell you very briefly. I loved all my chats with Anne-Marie bar one. It was February the 11th, 2023, when I was rushed into Antrim Area Hospital in an ambulance and was informed because of a gallstone that had blocked my liver bile duct, I was for emergency surgery. Now, this was the morning I was to be on your place and mine with Anne-Marie. The consultant, he was beautiful, but he reiterated that it was an emergency. And when he finished his spiel, he said, what time? I said to him, what time do you think you'll be operating on me? And he said, have you a reason why you're asking? And I said, well, I have. I have an interview with Anne Marie McAleese and BBC Radio Ulster. He looked at other nurses and the anaesthetist and anyone else who would look at him, and he said, looked at it as if to say, is she for real? So he turned to me and he said, how long will it take? And I said, oh, it'll not be long. So he nodded to his audience and he left. A nurse, she wheeled me into the examination room where it would be more quiet. I lay like Nora Batty with a gown that didn't cover me rear end, a pair of surgical stockings that would delete you from Tinder, and the poor old porter who was watching me. He was waiting to wheel me to the theatre, and I was growing yellower by the minute because of the blockage. But eventually Ciara rang, connected me to Anne-Marie, and I can't remember what I said to her or she said to me. When I hung up, they wheeled me out and we passed the nurse's station, and they were listening to your place or mine on a wee wireless. Now, I wouldn't have done that for the Pope, Anne-Marie.
Oh, Carol, you are such a tonic as ever from the very moment I met you.
I want to do this wee serious bit before I go, because it's very emotional today, because we all love you up here. But your connection with the people, Anne-Marie, I know you don't even think of this, has left ripples far beyond what you'll ever know. You enabled us to see the beauty of the country and the places you visited by the words that you spoke. Your impact on our core community is immeasurable. And I speak for myself and all of us up here at the Hub, Anne-Marie. We love the very bones of you. Your support enabled us to make a difference to those people who struggle. And you've left an indelible mark on the hearts of all your listeners. So we wish you an abundance of all the lovely things that you deserve in your retirement. And thanks for sending me that prayer after my operation. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie.
Carol, you are so welcome. You have been, a highlight, a joy of my life. Inspirational. That woman always is inspirational. Carol, thank you so much. And you mind yourself and don't be going near any hospitals for a very, very, very long time.
I'll see you soon.
Right, you are. Okay, Carol. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. Take care. This is a bit of a whistle-stop tour, isn't it?
Isn't it just? It's brilliant. Because I am just sitting back. I was about to say what time it was, and I thought, no, it's not up.
I know, I could never read the clock, so I skipped that bit. Right, we're going to Antrim now.
Okay.
And one of your more intrepid visits.
Oh.
For in May 2011, you headed to Rathlin Island with Hazel Watson from the RSPB on a day when the wind howled and the waterfall blew upside down.
Who knew that wind could whistle so much?
It does, it sings. The fence up there, that makes a very odd noise when it vibrates in the wind. It's bizarre.
Because as if we needed proof, Hazel, we came down, a few steps, round a few corners to see if there's any chance we could go down the steps.
And we nearly got blown away.
And we would have ended up in Scotland or possibly New York or Boston, depending what way we're
it's pretty
pointed.
wild out here today, that's for sure.
It is. But look, what I have had the privilege of seeing today is something else, as well as being world famous for the upside down lighthouse, which is at the foot of this cliff. I've seen something that shouldn't be happening.
Well, that happens when the wind blows really strongly from the west. That's the perfect conditions, especially if it's been wet. You get the cliff waterfall there, and it blows backwards, it blows upside down, and the water shoots up in a great big spout up into the air, and it's really exciting to see that.
We are struggling to even stand here. So the waterfall should be going down.
Yeah.
The wind is blowing it back up into the loch.
Yeah.
So the loch that is being drained is filling up again.
Yeah, that water's never going to make it to the sea because the wind's just carrying it back.
What conditions? Hazel Watson with you on Rathlin.
Yeah.
Remember
Fearsome.
that?
I remember it well. And you heard there how any of it was broadcastable. But fabulous place. Another one of my favourite places.
Yes, yeah. And we're going to stay in County Antrim. Let's hear from Toome, where more than 2 decades ago, Una Johnson decided that it was time to do something to improve her area and established the community development group Tidal. And Una, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You've been keeping Anne Marie abreast of developments for over all those years, and I think you have a very special relationship. Why do you feel that connection has helped your community and everything that you do, Una?
Well, I was sitting here laughing at the lovely lady from the hub there, and nothing could be more true as to what she said. Anne-Marie is not, I hate to have to tell her this, but she's not normal person. She's not a normal, maybe you found that out, but she's not a normal broadcaster. She wears her heart in her sleeve. Yeah. And I know we all do it. We go to meetings and we write down notes to see, do we remember the person sitting across the table from us or what happened before. But when you take her out into the middle of, along the river bank, into our community garden, it really doesn't matter. She's not standing there with notes. She is standing there with her heart in her hand and the heart that she's had for all those years and the interest that she's had in communities. And most of us, like was previously said, that's the only way we learn about what's really, really happening in other communities. You get these snippets all over the place, but she is just such a genuine person. When I listened, I thought, how the heck am I going to say anything? I'm standing here with tears in my eyes. You couldn't follow that.
Honestly, thank you so much. Listen, can I just say, I was in awe of you and in awe of every single person, and that is true, over many, many years, because of what you do, because of the love and the sense of pride and the changes that you make for the good. And honestly, it has been the joy of my life to meet people like you, to be shown around your place in the way, with the passion and the love that you have for everything. So I'm the one in your debt, honestly.
Absolutely not. And I'd like to think you're going to be stopping off now, not on a professional note, to stop off in our Lockkeeper's Cottage and have a lovely cup of coffee and a chat and relax. Now
you're talking without the microphone for a change.
I'll tell you, Una, there'll be tea and buns all around the country once she hangs up the headphones. And I just know, I remember, I've listened to your place and mine, obviously been part of it for many a year, and I love that, as you describe that connection with communities. And as Una said too, the voices being heard that would very often go
Oh,
unheard.
definitely.
And that's what's so
Definitely.
important about the programme. And Anne Marie did it with such humour and love and sincerity, and I think everybody will feel that. I'm going to move on before I start to have a wee weepy moment. Thank you so much, Una, and keep in touch with us, will you? Keep in touch.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care,
Una.
Anne-Marie.
Thank you. Thanks a million and all the very best. This is like being at your own wake. Can I just say that? So, but I mean, I am still alive and well, thank God, in the meantime anyway.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
we're coming now to the county that we're in, County Derry, because back in 2016, the archaeologist Peter Woodman told you about his discovery of the historic site of Mount Sandal.
This was actually the first time we actually stood on a spot where people had lived. We found their fireplaces. So they were sitting around those fireplaces, making flint implements, telling each other stories, sleeping, eating. This was the first time on the island that we actually could stand somewhere and say, actually, people were living and spending time there. In fact, actually, it's about 10,000 years ago. We didn't know that at the time.
You see, I definitely had you cast, Peter, in that Indiana Jones role and the Holy Grail. But just when you mentioned that, to stand on that ground, on that landscape, what must that have felt like?
Intimidating. Archaeologists are a little bit like surgeons if the medical profession doesn't mind that. You're landed with a responsibility. You know, once you take this stuff out, it's gone. You know, you have to do it right.
The late Peter Woodman, a man, Anne Marie, who put Ulster archaeology on the map, basically.
Unbelievable. It's such a privilege and pleasure to chat to Peter at that time, because when you think about it, the discovery of the first human settlement on the island of Ireland, and there was this man able to recall the very moment that it happened, the excitement, and we had the privilege then on Your Place in Mind to hear his memories. So incredible, amazing man.
I know. And well, as you've seen now, we've a bit more company in the studio. Good morning, Ronan Lundy.
Good morning, ladies. How are we? I'm just enjoying the suffering that she's going through at this moment in time.
It's very
great
funny.
Pleasure.
I had great difficulty getting in touch with a lot of people this week. I was making some phone calls and I was leaving more messages
Nobody
than I've left.
We were avoiding you like the plague.
Yes, and now there he is in the flesh himself.
We so wanted Ronan to be with you here at this time because he's been by your side all the way through this, Anne Marie.
yes.
Nothing to do with his broadcasting skills, no.
I was tempted to say the Ronald Reagan Margaret Thatcher relationship, but it's much warmer than that. No, Ronan and I, we do go back an awful long way. And you sometimes say I dragged you kicking and screaming into this, but I don't think I did.
Well, you actually, to a degree, you did. I mean, you remember before Your Place in Mind was around the triangle.
That's right.
And you came to me and you were like that character out of Father Ted, Mrs. Doyle. You came to me and you said to me, I remember you saying this to me, listen, I've got a wee programme, I'd love you to see if you'd like to test for it. And I said, Anne Marie, not a chance. I don't have time, I'm too busy. You will. And she did it again and again. She pursued me. But in all honesty, I wouldn't have been in this business 30 odd years later if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Thank you. You don't need to thank me.
I just, when you're together, there's a lovely warmth between you, which is just lovely. But for this special programme, Ronan's been concerning himself with what Anne Marie will do with herself now that she's not on the show. And Anne Marie, he discovered something that, well, I mean, it may take up some of your time.
Saturday morning, I'm up before dawn. Drop by the clubhouse and then grab my old golf shoes and I put them on. And that's when my troubles begin.
If you want me to dish the dirt on Anne Marie, you haven't a chance. Any juicy little nuggets will not be passed on to you.
But it's difficult to get a word in edgeways with Anne Marie.
No.
Yes, but I've known her for a very long time, and I can just say this, that whenever you know somebody, you always say that if you play golf with them, you get to know them even better. So Ronan, the truth is, she's as naughty and as funny and as great company as she sounds on radio, and she's a joy to play golf with and very generous.
Anne Marie has a great signature red jumper that'll be well spotted, and you can definitely spot that wiggle. She's very handy around the greens, and that left-handed putter of hers will always work a treat.
Now, Ronan, between you and I, we secret, don't tell anyone, but we have a thing called the naughty step.
And sadly, Anne Marie is on that naughty step a fair bit.
So glad to hear this. Tell me more.
Well, I can't really tell you more because what goes on in the committee room stays in the committee room. But suffice to say, she is on that naughty step quite a lot. You may ask her misdemeanours, etc. But in seriousness, I'm very fond of Anne Marie and I wish her all the very best for her retirement.
Why does golf do this to me?
We're giggling. A wiggle, a left-handed putter, and a naughty step. Oh, that was some insider information from the ladies at Portstewart Golf Club. Nice one, Ronan. But, here we are. What are your thoughts of today, of Anne Marie, as she steps back from your place and mine?
Well, as I probably said to you just at the start there, the fact that I wouldn't have been here without her, the fact that she has, as you were summing up, and so many people had summed up today, her kindness, her warmth, her natural personality. And I think everything that Anne Marie has put together, it's not a bluff. It's actually why the listener engages with her on a Saturday morning, because that's who she is. As she is here in the studio this morning, she will be after this programme is over. And that's what you get. And I think that's why she's so special. So special.
And, we've gathered stories from all around Northern Ireland. We've had people like Ronan in lots of different places. Remember Brigitte McCusker and...
Yes, indeed.
And Anne Marie and Ross Trevor. I mean, so many wonderful people we've had on this programme, and you've been part of all that, encouraging and getting them to share stories.
I think that was the whole notion, wasn't it? And thank you very much, Ronan Lundy, and I will see you after this programme, and it will be a whole different story then. I think that was the notion really behind Your Place in Mind from the very, very beginning, and it just caught hold of people's minds and imaginations. And it was, as my mum and dad said, to shine a light on places and on people and on community and on the history and the heritage that perhaps Radio Ulster had not shone the light before. And I hope if there's one thing, if there's a legacy that we can leave or that I might like to leave, it is that. And long may that continue. But it's completely the reverse of what everybody's saying. I am the one that is grateful and privileged and thankful for all of the warm welcomes that we've had in many, many places throughout the country.
I know. And Ronan, it's lovely to have you with us live in the studio now, because I know you're very close, and that friendship will continue on and on. And talking about your broadcasting career, Anne Marie, you'll be chatting on air again later today with another long-time colleague, John Toll.
That's right.
And that will be on BBC Radio Ulster and BBC Radio Foyle just after the news at 11 o'clock. We're getting a right big chunk of Anne Marie this morning, aren't we?
That'll do you for the next 35 years, I think.
Right, okay. Being out on the water seems to have a particular attraction for you.
Yes.
And a few years ago, you had an unforgettable crossing from Portstewart to Innistrahull Island.
That's right.
With aquaholic skipper Richard Lafferty. Yeah, and he had high hopes that you'd come across some sort of sea creature or two.
We've just found our first basking shark of the day, and we're off the Inishowen Peninsula heading towards Malin. And the basking shark, that's about a 6 or 7 metre shark.
So those two fins that are sticking out of the water, do they belong to one shark, or is that two?
It's just this one shark, and you're only seeing half the shark, so you're seeing his middle fin and his tail fin.
We are so close to it now. I mean, almost. If I was taller, I could nearly reach out and touch it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Oh my goodness!
The size of our water, so.
And it's just dipped below the surface of the water.
You can see the mouth in the water. Stand up there, Anne Marie. Look quick. Look,
whoa!
See the
my
white.
Goodness! I've got it.
See the white mouth.
That is a huge mouth. So close to the boat. This is incredible.
I mean, obviously you remember that well. I've had experiences like that as well, making programmes.
I'm not sure which huge mouth so close to the water. Was that my mouth, or was that the shark's mouth? I'm not quite sure. But as you say, I love the water. I love being on the water. I love the different perspective you get of the land when you're on a boat in the water. Richard Laverty, like so many skippers I've had the privilege of journeying to different places before, knows every ripple of that sea and so he's the perfect man to tell all the stories. But I mean, I was thinking the basking shark was the full length of the boat practically, and I wasn't one bit nervous. A wee tiny blue tit that tried to land on
and you shrieked your head off
like a vulture. But happy memories.
Actually, yeah, let's think on that, will we? Because we couldn't talk about your broadcasting life, could we, without mentioning birds? And this is a moment at Oxford Island. Oh, Ronan, wait till you hear this. On the shores of Lough Neagh, when your friend, Anne Marie, a bird watcher for all seasons, Dot Blakely, proved she could make birds eat out of her hand.
What does it feel like on your hand?
It's gorgeous.
Is it? And I could see the claws for the first time. The feet.
It's gorgeous.
Are they sharp?
Okay.
But nice.
And they're beautiful.
They don't hurt you.
Nicky Gurn.
There's a tear coming in your eye, Dot. Oh,
I suppose you've got that microphone.
All right, we've switched places now, and Dot has got the microphone, which allows me a free hand, and it's outstretched. My right hand, straightened out. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Dot, that happened so quickly.
I'm sorry,
wee blue. I scared the life out of that. I'm so sorry, wee man.
He's coming back again. He's going to keep your hand now. I wouldn't like to see you with something big.
Well, you didn't scream at the basking shark, so what was that all about?
That's what I was just thinking there. It was just, I had my eye. Dot says never to look a bird in the eyes or any kind of animal. So I was trying, and it was, I know it was only like a little tiny feather really, but I think I was so delighted and pleased that the bird did take the seed from my hand, and that was just
so brave.
Yeah,
so brave.
So brave.
Yes. And of course, Dot, you and you, the pair of you have been to so many places together and sharing a passion for birds and sharing that passion with all of us. And actually, Dot is on the line. Good morning, Dot.
Morning, Dot.
Morning. Good morning, dear. You've got a tear in my eye now too for everything, but yeah, absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And that poor wee bird still hasn't got over it.
You had so many wantful adventures out in Don choruses, here, there, and everywhere, Loch Shores. But there was a moment at Ballyness in County Antrim that stays with you both still, I think. Describe it for us, Dot.
Absolutely, the time that we sort of followed the swans up at Ballyness Caravan Park, and from whenever they were wee tinies, and then we came back next month and followed them on, and it was that very first time that we both went wow and both went quiet, and it was the four cygnets running like the hammers along the top of the water and doing the flight school. And all you heard was them running like the mad and then trying to take off, and their first flight going round, and all you got was that woof, woof, woof of the fantastic, absolutely out of this world noise. And Anne Marie and I think we just stood there and said nothing, and I think that was the first time ever in 30-odd years that we've said nothing.
They were speechless, I know, and that was just nature in action. And we, as you say, Dot, we followed them over many, many months and almost a full year, actually. But Dot, I've been her trainee bird watcher for more than nearly 3 decades, and I used to
not have any grey hairs, you know.
You and me both.
I think you've done you've helped a lot of listeners understand our bird life more and maybe protect birds in the long run, feeding the birds, creating habitats for birds because of what you talk about and the passion that you have for that and what we as human beings can do about it. But I know you had a lot of laughs. It's probably scared off most of the birds.
A lot of cups of teas too.
Sitting amongst the bushes. Yes,
that's right.
I know.
That's right.
It's lovely. And the swans one, I'm with you on that because I've brought you many reports, Anne Marie, about swans. They're a great love of my life, a turning of the year, their arrival and departure. So thank you both for bringing us all those wonderful stories. Dot, keep on watching, keep on talking. And Anne Marie, I'm sure she'll be out with you again after this. All right? Take care. All the best.
Thanks, Dot. Take care.
And of course, Downpatrick now in County Down, Dot's home county, is the place where you met train driver Andy Cook.
And the steam is coming fast and furious. I'm surrounded in a whirl of steam, and I've just been handed a big pair of railway gloves, black and red, and that's to protect my hands whenever I try to get up here. Now this is pretty steep. So the first step, right foot first onto the 2 handles, and I'm up into the boiler house. Thank you very much. Being helped up. Oh, that's fantastic. Here I am. In I go.
Downpatrick and County Down Railway. You have a bit of a thing about trains.
I do, and Selwyn Johnson is partly responsible for that. But yeah, that was a wonderful experience too.
Right, okay. We're going to stay in County Down, and we're going to Rostrevor in the very good company of Colm Sands. Good morning, Colm.
Good morning, Helen. How are you?
I'm well. Sitting here with Ronan and Anne Marie and just having a very special time on the radio, I have to say, and I think it's going to end very specially as well, which we'll come to in a moment. Am I right in saying, Colm, that you remember your very first day on Your Place and Mine?
I do indeed. I remember it well. It was, I think it was in the month of September, and I was going in to do a piece from the studio in the town hall in Newry. And for some reason the door was locked, or I had the wrong key. Anyway, I couldn't get in, but like everybody working on Your Place of Mine, we were masters of improvisation. And there was a phone box nearby, which somebody, I think maybe who insisted on fresh air, had knocked most of the glass out of it with a hammer. But I went in, and we did the chat, myself and Anne Marie, from there. Yeah.
What a memory! That's lovely. Do you remember that?
I do remember, because just about everything, I think, Colm, that could go wrong on that first programme did go wrong, and that was just one of them. I think it was a stack of chairs had fallen against the door, and the studios were quite new all over Northern Ireland. But and I was none the wiser. I was remembering that today on my journey here this morning and thinking I wasn't one bit nervous the very first live programme I did with you, because I didn't know any difference. I didn't know what to expect. That's what I'm saying, Colm. I'm only getting the hang of it now, and here it is, my last day. So.
And I think, Colm, through your singing and the work that you do with folk music, and Anne Marie, you share this commonness of finding places that are worthy of recognition that get passed over. Colm, yeah.
Yes, indeed. I'm thinking a lot of the programme today, and looking out through the window here in Rostrevor, there's a blackbird just hopped onto the wall in front of the window, looking across the loch. And I think Anne Marie and the whole programme over the years, in a way, you've like opened up a public right of way into places that people either didn't know or had forgotten about. And, no matter what happens from here on, those ways are still open in our minds, and we should go out and look at them, because it is so important to connect to the ground on which we stand.
Yes, stay with us, Colm, will you, just for a wee minute or two, just to say that we've been getting texts and emails and messages all through the programme, wishing you, Anne Marie, all the very best, thanking you for all the years you've given to the programme. We simply don't have time to read even a fraction of those out, but Anne Marie will get them. So thank you to everybody who's been sending those in. And we're going to leave you in the very capable hands of Colm Sands. We're going to play out with a song which he has written for this occasion, entitled Thank You Kindly, Anne Marie. So as we come to the end of the programme, would like you to say a few words, I think, Anne Marie.
Well, I usually would say that is it from Your Place and Mine for today, and I will do that. A big thank you to producers Ciara Johnson and Brian Kernahan, and you especially, Helen, for arranging all of this. Ronan Lundy as well, who's sitting beside you, to our fabulous guests, all the lovely people that I've been chatting to. Honestly, it really has been lovely. It means a lot. And I will never forget this programme this morning. But funnily enough, I will be back next Saturday morning just after 8 for a final look back at over 3 decades of Your Place and Mine. Thank you again for listening so faithfully over the years. I was just thinking, how lucky am I to have something so special that it makes saying goodbye so hard. So let's not say goodbye. It is the time that we spent together that matters, not how we left it. And in the end, I suppose we all become memories. I hope sincerely that your memories are as special as mine. So from me, Anne Marie, from my heart to yours, all the very best. Bye-bye.
Your place, my place, everybody's tuning in for a welcome smile. A voice of kindness, stop and listen, all the way on every inch and mile. All those mornings, all those stories, all those places we could see through the windows of the wireless. Thank you kindly, Anne Marie. Poets, painters, weavers, workers, from cottage door down to the castle hall, all across the fields with history makers, knowing there's a story in us all. Roads and Lonan's banks of rivers, badgers, birds and singing for the trees, Sails from mountain top down to the water, and skimming sounds across the seas. All those mornings, all those stories, all those places we could see through the windows of the wireless. Thank you kindly, Anne Marie, singing for the day that's in it, thinking 30 years and more. Every end is just a new beginning, like the wave rolling on the shore. Be safe upon the road that calls you, may wonders wait for you along the way. Enjoy the lie-ins on a Saturday morning, the job's a good one, as you'd say.